Good day with your major newscast. I am Jessica Daw. First with the highlights. An opposition party says the Environmental Protection Agency should assess the impact that radioactive materials can have on a person and the nearby Demerara River. The animal inspector who shot dead herself in a police station compound was a psychiatric patient. A Guyana-born man has been shot dead in upstate New York. And in the region, a top appeals court says no to same-sex marriage in the Cayman Islands and Bermuda. And Antiguans and Barbudans are to pay more for gasoline and diesel. And you'll have your latest international news coming from the BBC. Do stay tuned.
Advertise with us on News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM for best coverage on programs on motivation, beauty and health, parenting and relationships, knowing your rights, and a variety of enlightening content, and get value for your money. Call our helpful staff today on 223-1056 or 223-1041 today.
Now for the news in detail. The Alliance for Change AFC is calling on the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to reconsider its decision that an environmental impact assessment is not necessary for a facility to store equipment. The facility is to be housed at Coverdale East Bank Demerara, 100 feet away from the public road and just over 1,000 feet from the Demerara River. That party fears that people can be exposed to radioactive materials on the roadway and the Demerara River can be easily polluted. With the compound also hosting bonds for other companies in the oil and gas sector, the AFC says this is a clear indication that numerous persons can be possibly exposed. A 19-year-old man who was born in Guyana was killed Sunday morning after he was shot inside a home in Buffalo, upstate New York, identified as a 19-year-old Royden Cave, a student of SUNY Buffalo State College. Buffalo police say the shooting happened shortly after 3:40 Sunday morning at what police described as a party or gathering at an off-campus gathering. Cave was taken by ambulance to a hospital where he later died. College officials identified him as Royden Cave, who was a freshman criminal justice major. Before going to college, he lived with his Guyanese parents in Brooklyn, New York. He was the son of Patrick Cave, a former employee of the now-defunct Guyana Broadcasting Corporation. Police did not release any further details about the shooting. Police ask anyone with information to call or text the department's confidential. An official of the Guyana Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals shot herself to death in the compound of the Brickdam police station. Police say 49-year-old Trudy DeHart committed suicide using a stun gun which she used at work. The incident occurred at about 9 a.m. near the inquiries section of the Brickdam police station. Investigators believe that the incident stemmed from a family dispute as her husband moved out of their home 1 week ago and went to live with his father at Port Joint West Bank Demerara. Police say 10 minutes before she committed suicide, she confronted her husband and her son on Camp and Regent Streets in front of City Mall, where she took an object which was wrapped in a yellow cloth and hit her husband's motor car. The man subsequently drove to the brick. According to police, after she was escorted into the inquiry's office, DeHart put an black plastic bag to her right side head. A clicking sound was heard. She fell down and was subsequently pronounced dead. Police say she was a patient at a psychiatric clinic. A Guyana Defense Force corporal has been stabbed to death. Dispute over the music that was being played. He has been identified as 28-year-old Chavez Mangal of Enterprise East Coast, Demerara. He was stabbed shortly after midnight at Lot 142 Good Hope, East Coast, Demerara. Police say they have arrested one person away from where the incident took place. 2 knives and a pair of scissors were found in his pants waist. He told police that he sustained visible injuries to his head, left hand, and body because he was attacked at the wedding house. In all, investigators say they suspect 4 males who were armed with knives and cutlasses. According to an eyewitness, one of the suspects approached the DJ, inquiring about the music, which at the time had stopped. Police attendees at the wedding to gather at the DJ booth where, according to the eyewitness, the suspect pulled a knife from his waist and stabbed the man. Was also stabbed to his left hand while another suspect threw a bottle at him. The 4 males then to throw the bottles at the building, after which they ran away. Police were also informed that a 24-year-old man who was the DJ at the wedding exited the yard and was confronted by one of the suspects. He told investigators that he was chopped to his left hand and relieved of a laptop valued $130,000. A customs officer shot and injured 2 horse cart operators vacant lot near his residence to cut grass for their animals. Police say the customs officer used a 9mm pistol, which is the property of the Guyana Revenue Authority, and opened fire on the men. The incident occurred at about 4 p.m. Sunday at Kersaint Park, Le Bon Intention, LBI, East Coast, Demerara. One of the horse cart operators, his right leg, while the other operator, who is 36 years old, received injury, admitted to the Georgetown Public Hospital and have undergone surgeries. The customs officer, who is 40 years old, alleges that one of the horse cart operators attempted to enter his yard and he discharged a firearm in the air and then in the direction of the men. He has also surrendered the firearm and ammunition. Now for the news in the region. Activists supporting same-sex marriage in the Cayman Islands and Bermuda received a heavy blow Monday following a ruling by a top appeals court in London. The United Kingdom's Privy Council, which serves as the final court of the appeals in the Caribbean, sided with the government of Bermuda, which had fought a local Supreme Court's decision to allow gay marriage. The Privy Council also ruled that gays don't have the right to marry in its constitution. Leonardo Raznovich, an attorney who represented a gay couple seeking to get married in the Cayman Islands, told the Associated Press that he was shocked by the ruling. He described it as an affront to human dignity. Raznovich said he plans to fight the Privy Council's decision. Caribbean activists had hoped for a favorable ruling to help sway public opinion in a largely conservative region where colonial anti-sodomy laws remain on the books and same-sex marriage is rarely considered a right. One of 5 judges in the Bermuda case dissented. And the Council acknowledged that the historical background of marriage is one of stigmatization, victimization of gay people, and that the restriction of marriage to opposite sex couples may create among gay people a Canada-based Barbadian economist says if Barbados continues to borrow at the rate it has been doing for the past 2 years, the country would end up in a debt trap. Mr. Carlos Ford says he does not believe being under an International Monetary Fund program is inherently a bad move. He urged the government to be cautious with its borrowing. Of borrowing dating back to 2.5 years ago is not sustainable. Can estimates implications for Barbados discussion, which was held virtually yesterday. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown announced over the weekend that the government can no longer maintain the $4.63 gas price at pumps across the country. He says the prices of gasoline and diesel will go up by $55. The move is in line with soaring oil prices following the February 24 invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Who is also the Minister of Finance, detailed that the global increase of fuel prices has resulted in significant blows to Antigua and Barbuda's revenue, on top of the losses endured throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister says revenues are already down by 20%, and to take a further hit would be very difficult. During the Prime Minister's weekly press appearance, he also warned of the very likely possibility of food price inflation. And lastly, in the region, the British Virgin Islands Police Force has promoted 13 of its officers. BVI News reports that a number of them have been promoted to sergeants, inspectors, and one to the chief inspector rank, following the promotional exercise process that was held in 2021. Promotions and confirmations of officers are completed after a series of evaluations to include an application, a written and competency exam, and an interview process. Commissioner of Police congratulating the officers for passing all the stages of the promotional exercise, invited others to hone their skills and move into position for advancement. And here now is additional news coming from the BBC.
BBC News with Sue Montgomery. The mayor of Kiev, Vitaly Klitschko, has warned that the Ukrainian capital is facing a difficult and dangerous moment as Russian strikes target the city. He announced a 35-hour curfew in the city from this evening until Thursday morning. The Ukrainian authorities say 5 people were killed this morning in Russian, says people in Kiev remain sanguine.
It's not a news for us that Russians are close, and we don't afraid of them. So people are not scared. I don't see any panic. All people in Kyiv now realize that everything's possible, but we really understand that Russian army is weak to take control over Kyiv. What they can do, they can continue shelling our cities and shelling Kyiv and destroying houses, destroying even some districts, killing like hundreds and thousands of civilian people. This is possible.
The Prime Ministers of Poland, the Czech Republic and Slovenia are travelling to Kiev by train for talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki said that in such crucial times for the world, it was their duty to be in the place where history was being made. The European Commission spokesman, Eric Mamer, said the Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
It is obviously not for us here in the Commission to decide which channels member states use in order to have contacts with President Zelensky. This is something for the member states concerned. But we certainly endorse, of course, the fact that the member states express their strong solidarity vis-à-vis Ukraine and to President Zelensky.
About 2,000 cars have left the besieged southern city of Mariupol via a humanitarian corridor. The city council said 2,000 more were waiting to leave. A convoy of food and medicine through to Mariupol. Intense Russian bombardment has left the city in a desperate heating or running water and food running short. The UN says more than 3 million Ukrainians have now fled the country. UNICEF says almost half the refugees are children. Christina Katrakis, an ambassador for a UN foundation, is working with refugees in a small Ukraine-Romania border.
It's really dire need for food, for support, for funds, and we're trying to get it from anywhere we can. So all the efforts, donations, food supply would be more than welcome. We got a bunch of women, children, pregnant women, 1-month-old babies. Devastating.
BBC News. Russian civil rights activists have expressed concern over the safety of a journalist who interrupted a live television news bulletin to protest against the invasion of Ukraine. Marina Ovsyannikova is being investigated under a law that bans what the authorities judge to be false information about the reports.
Her lawyers say they still don't know where Marina Ovsyannikova is being held or what charges she might face. The news editor was detained last night after bursting onto the set of her employer's flagship news programme, clutching a hand-painted sign which read, "Stop the war, don't believe the propaganda," their live video address recorded before the protest. Miss Ovsyannikova, who said her father was Ukrainian, said she was ashamed of her work for what she described as Kremlin propaganda, which had contributed to the zombification of the Russian people.
Somalia has appealed for international help to feed almost 7 million people facing severe food and water shortages. The Prime Minister said the worst drought in more than a decade had already forced 500,000 Somalis to flee their homes. State TV said 3 people had died from extreme hunger in the southwest, where Islamist militants have imposed a blockade. One of the 7 people convicted of assassinating the former Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi has been released on bail after 31 years that killed Rajiv Gandhi in 1991. In 2017, it emerged that he had been unaware of the purpose of the 2 batteries he was asked to purchase. Human Rights Watch says it's highly unlikely that the 81 men executed in Saudi Arabia on Saturday had a fair trial. More than half of those executed belonged to the country's Shiite minority. BBC News.
And that was your international news from the BBC. Here now is a recap of the highlights. An opposition party, Central Protection Agency, should assess the impact that radioactive materials can have on person and the nearby Demerara River. The animal inspector who shot dead herself in a police station compound was a psychiatric patient. A man has been shot dead in upstate New York. And in the region, a top appeals court says no to same-sex. Antiguans and Barbudans are to pay more for gasoline and diesel.
This has ongoing updates. Visit demerarawaves.com and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves.